Hey, Allison Verhalen here with AV Writing Services, and today I am talking to you about how to write content that sells, right? So it's a big problem. A lot of people, they hear they need to be doing content marketing, they need content, they need blog posts, they need to be on social media, they need to have a newsletter, they need all of this content in order to grow their business. And sometimes they just go out and create a content without a content strategy, and then they don't get sales from it. And then they decide that, well, content marketing doesn't work, or it doesn't work for them, or for their industry, or what have you. But it's because they didn't approach it strategically with that goal in mind of, at the very end of this is what I'm going to have. This is what I want my audience to do when they get to the end of this particular piece of content. And you need that with every single piece of content you create. Your goal for a social media post is going to be different from your goal for a sales page. So I'm going to go over 5 things that you need to do in order to create content that sells. Now, the first thing you need to do is to know your audience. Create some marketing personas. I would say at least 2, one for each gender, unless you're in an industry that only markets to one gender. No more than 3. I think once you get past 3, you're spreading yourself a little too thin. So 2 to 3 marketing personas in general is what I think a lot of businesses use, just to get an idea of what their lives look like. I mean, not just the problems that they have that you're addressing for them, which should absolutely be front and center in your marketing personas, but also what do they look like? You can draw a picture of them. You can have a stock photo that you use as representing your marketing persona. Give them a name, whether it's Teresa or Joe or whatever you want, so that becomes a person for you. It's not just like you're generally throwing content out into the ether, right? You want content that is designed for that specific person, which is where the different personas can come into effect, right? So maybe if you're in financial services and you help people save for retirement, maybe one of your personas is someone who is in their 50s, maybe early 60s. They're thinking about retirement. They're not sure that they really have all their financial eggs in a row right now. So they're trying to make sure that that's what they have, and they're looking for that, and that's where you can help them. And maybe you help parents save for their kids' college tuition. So that would be a different marketing persona, right? They're a little bit younger, they have kids. Your people who are looking at retirement may or may not have kids. So they're facing different issues, and their lives look a little bit different. Their income is probably different. Their job is a little bit different. So you're going to have different personas to address each of those pain points, right? And each of those services that you provide, or products if you provide products, whatever it is you're providing. Each section and subsection of your products and services, you want to have a different marketing persona for that subsection. So know your audience, and not just their title or their income level. You want that as well, but you also want what are their interests? What are their hobbies? What does their family look like? Do they have pets? What are they reading when they're not reading your blog? What are they reading that could lead them to your blog, or your sales page, or your newsletter, or what have you? Keep all of that in mind and put that into the marketing persona, because that's going to help you develop your content strategy, which leads neatly into tip number 2, which is have a strategy, right? Don't just blog about whatever you think about, whatever happens to hit your inspiration that day. Inspiration is great, and you can absolutely research that topic and make sure that it's relevant to your audience before you write about it. But if you're just creating content whenever you have time, whenever you feel like it, about something that someone asked you about at a party at one point, that may or may not be relevant to the specific needs of your target audience, right? Go back to that marketing persona. What are their pain points? What do their lives look like? Is this piece of content going to be relevant to them? And if it is, then great. Go ahead and write that topic and make sure that it's relevant. But you're going to want to do your research first, and that's where the keyword research comes in. And you're going to want to make sure that you target those keywords that have a fairly high search volume, and how high you want that search volume to be is entirely up to you, and it might depend on the kind of content you're producing. Maybe for a blog post, you're okay with the search volume being a little bit lower, whereas for a sales page, you want the search volume to be a little bit higher because you really want to attract a lot of people to that sales page. On the other hand, you got to make sure that the internet is not already flooded with that particular keyword, right? If there's a ton of competition for that keyword already, you're not going to have a chance of ranking for it. So don't even try. Focus on the keywords that still have a high search volume, but not a whole lot of content right now. That's where you're going to find that content gap. And that's where people are going to need you. So focus on that. And this leads us to tip number 3, which is focus on long tail keywords for 2 reasons. First of all, those tend to have a little bit of a lower search volume, yes, but they also tend to have lower competition. So they're much easier to rank for. And they're higher to convert because they're easier to convert. They tend to have a higher conversion rate because people who are searching for long tail keywords are looking for something specific, right? If they're looking for the keyword financial planning, that's a very broad topic, right? That covers all kinds of things. Maybe they're not even sure what a financial planner is. Maybe they're trying to figure out if they need one. That's very broad. So you can attract people for financial planning for that particular keyword, but your chances of converting them, and we're going to talk about conversions in a little bit, but your chances of getting a sale off of that are lower because they're not ready to buy yet. They're just in the exploration phase. On the other hand, if they're looking for a financial planner who serves professional women, who serves single women, who serves divorced women, that's specific, right? That's a long tail keyword. It's going to be 3 to 5 words long. That's something that people are looking for, something really specific. So there's going to be a lower search volume because it's so specific. But at the same time, that's someone who is ready to buy. They know what they're looking for, and they're going to use that search term to try and find it. And it's also going to have lower competition because not all financial planners are serving that particular group. So again, do your research and find that content gap using those keywords that can help you identify what are the questions that your target audience is asking and not getting the answers to, because that's how you're going to show up in searches and attract those people to your website. Now, I just said a little bit earlier about conversions, right? And where to get them, what call to action you want at the end of your content. So that's tip number 4, right? Is that you have to know where your audience is in the buyer journey. If you're using those short tail keywords that are 1 to 2 words long, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with using those keywords. But know that because people using those keywords are not necessarily ready to buy yet, if they're going to find, let's say, a blog about what is financial planning? What does that look like? What should I expect when I work with a financial planner? That's someone who, again, is not ready to buy. Maybe they're exploring. They might want to hire a little bit later, but right now they're just trying to figure out what this is all about, right? So a blog post about that is not necessarily going to lead people back to a sales page or a hard sell. Don't end a blog post with, hey, reach out to me if you need this, or a buy button if you're selling products, because someone is just not ready to buy at that point. They find the blog post, they're looking for specific things so that they can figure out what a financial planner is, and often they're looking for tips on how to do something for themselves. So again, using the financial planning example because it's super easy to use, a blog post about the difference between a 401k and an IRA and the benefits of each. Someone might have a 401k and or an IRA and they're thinking, do I need both? Do I need to get rid of one and just merge the two? How can I do that? If I only have a 401k, should I get an IRA? What would that look like? There are all these things that they can look for to try and get more information about the services and products they need before they go into buying from someone, until they need you to set up a 401k or an IRA for them. So know what your audience is looking for and where they are in the buyer journey when they're looking for someone. Like I said, if they're looking for a financial planner who serves a specific subgroup of women or men or minorities or whatever it is they're looking for that you can help them with, they're ready to buy, right? They're looking for something very specific. So that should go on your sales page. Those kinds of keywords should not necessarily be going in your blog post. they should probably be going on your sales page, because that's where you want to lead those people. They don't want a blog post. They already know what they're looking for. They need you to tell them what they should be doing, and they know that they need you to tell them what they should be doing or to do it for them. So lead them to your sales page with those particular keywords, not to a blog post. With a blog post, again, especially if you're in a service-based industry or a B2B industry, rather than going straight for buy my stuff because you just told them how to do something for themselves, which is great. Your blog post should absolutely give them valuable tips that they can use on their own, because A, that shows that you really know what you're talking about, and B, they can take those tips and use them in their own lives, and then when they see that they work, they'll know that you know what you're talking about. When they need more, they'll go back to you because you are the expert now. So the end of the blog post should not just end, thanks for reading, bye-bye. Don't do that. Newsletter, social media. You need to ask people to sign up for your newsletter and or to follow you on social media, because that way you can keep pushing great content in front of them. If they're following your newsletter, not only can you let them know about future blog posts, you can also let them know about sales and special promotions and new products and services that you're offering. And they will keep seeing your name pop up in their email again and again. Even if they don't open your newsletter, it's still gonna embed you in their brain, right? So when they do need you, you will be top of mind for them because you'll be staying in front of them no matter what. And that's the key to converting them. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, especially, again, financial services or an attorney or someone in a B2B industry. It's going to take a while to get that buy-in, right? That someone really does know what they're talking about. And this is someone who can help you with that, because those are very delicate topics with a lot of high risk, right? Before someone is going to trust you with their retirement savings or their life savings, they need to know that they can trust you. And getting that content in front of them again and again and letting them know, yeah, I do know the best way to help my clients make the most of their money. That's what's going to convince them to buy from you. So it's sometimes a long funnel, and that was tip number 4, by the way, is to lead your audience through the funnel. I kind of went right into it because it was so easy that was tip number 5. I'm sorry, I lost count. Tip number 4 was know where they are in the buyer journey, and then tip number 5 was lead them through the buyer journey, and that's where the call to action comes in at the end of your blog post. Know what call to action is relevant for that particular piece of content, right? So for social media, for your newsletter, you're going to provide a link. You're going to want them to go back to your website. Everything should lead back to your website. That's like your main hub. That's where you control all of your traffic and your audience. So you want to get them there, and you want to keep them there as much as possible, and then you want to convert them. Another call to action at the end of a blog post could be read these other blog posts on this same topic. If this is what you're interested in, then you might want to check out this content as well, because you could also be interested in this. And again, especially if you're in a B2B industry or a service-based industry, most people on average are going to look through 3 to 5 pieces of content before making a purchasing decision. So if you can help them with that and say, yeah, if you like this, here's more content. And that will help get that buy-in, because they are going to want to look through more content to make sure that you really know what you're talking about and that they can trust you, again, with their money, with their legal troubles, with whatever problem it is that they have. They're going to want to get that buy-in. So they're going to read through a few blog posts. And if you can make that easier for them by leading them to more blog posts, they're going to be more likely to click on those blog posts and find something that interests them and does convince them that they want to work with you. Whereas if you don't do that, they might be more likely to click away. Maybe they'll have to search through some of your blog posts before finding what they need. But if you make it easy for them to find what they want when they want it, they're going to be more likely to click. They're going to be more likely to stick around on your blog, on your website. And by the way, Google knows exactly how much time people spend on your website. And the more time they spend there, the higher Google will rank you, because Google realizes that they are finding something on your website that they need. If someone goes to your website and clicks right back to Google, that doesn't look very good. So if you can keep them on your website, not only do you have a higher chance of converting them, so that's obviously good for you, but it can also help your SEO rankings. So, and then on your sales page, that's where you go for the hard sell. That's where you tell them, buy my service, buy my product. Now, a lot of these tips are for service-based industries and B2B industries where you have a higher buy-in, right? It takes a little bit longer to convince people to work with you, that you're going to have a longer funnel. If you sell something that's a little bit cheaper, maybe you sell some cheap jewelry or healthcare products, not healthcare products, beauty products or hygiene products, those are going to be cheaper. Those you can sell right in your newsletter, right? Or directly on social media. You can have an ad on social media, have it pop up in their feed, have a great photo of your product, or even a little video of how much people love your product. And you are going to be much more likely to get that sale right away, right on social media, or from social media to your website and go straight to making that sale. Or again, your newsletter back to your website. Again, you always want to lead them back to your website so that you can make the sale there. And it's going to be much easier if you're selling a product that's not very expensive or something that they need. And maybe you can target people who have searched for something but not bought it yet, and now they're searching for it, and now it shows up in their social media feed, right? Or in their email that, hey, don't you need this? Or have you stocked up on this recently? And they're like, oh, that's right, I did mean to buy that. And they can click right through and buy it, and you've made it super easy for them, which is great because that's how you're going to get that buy-in, right? Literally, you're going to get that buy-in. So again, this goes back to knowing your audience, knowing how long it takes to convert them. How long is your funnel? For someone like me, and again, financial services and attorneys and anyone in a B2B industry, it's going to take a little bit longer to get that buy-in. So we're going to have a longer funnel. But if you're selling products, especially if they're not very expensive, especially if it's something people need more of again and again, like cleaning products and hygiene products, that's going to be something that they don't have to think a whole lot about. They can see that and go, oh yeah, that looks great, I absolutely want that, and they can just click and buy, and it's super easy. So that's it. Those are our tips today for how to write content that sells, that actually converts leads into customers. If you have any other questions, again, we are at avwritingservices.com. You can explore our blog on that website. If you have any questions and want to reach out to me directly, I am at info@avwritingservices.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great week and happy marketing.